Welcome back, everybody. Monday morning edition of Hot Mic rolls on. Brooks Bacco, the hero from Kindred, will join us in about an hour, recapping the crazy finish to the Class A championship game. That's coming up just after 10:30. We do it each and every Monday to chat at 9:30 about FCS football with our guy Sam Herder from Hero Sports, who's got the dynamite backdrop set up. That's the leader in the clubhouse of our Zooms, my man. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, I finally got all the small stuff unpacked in the new house, and so we have some mini helmets. We have like 100-year history of the SoCon right here.
Nice.
We have like it's hard to see, but a CAA coin as well that we use for coin flips, and Ivy League as well. So got a lot of different teams and conferences represented here, and right here. This helmet, I can't remember the high school, but it's a high school in Montana, and their nickname or their mascot is the Herders.
That's outstanding.
So I saw it on like the big helmet wall that Montana State has of all the high schools. And I tweeted out like, someone's got to get me that helmet. And then this was a few years ago, and like somehow, some way, someone was able to get me a full-size helmet of the Herders.
That's outstanding. I love it. Let's do a couple things here before, as spring ball is opening across the country for a variety of FCS schools. The Sac State president, Luke Wood, this guy is about as active on Twitter as you or I are, because he got tweeted at about from just a fan page that says, "Are we still on track for the formal conference affiliation announcement this month for football and Olympic sports?" And all he responded with was, "Yes." So, I mean, it's March 24th, so Sac State's got a week to figure out or announce what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, they're full steam ahead with everything. Yeah. And the president even had a response last month that I can't remember what the tweet was specifically, but it was pretty much about like Sac State and where they line up in all the realignment. And he responded on Twitter and said FBS or bust. And so yeah, super active on Twitter, obviously, and certainly generating a lot of hype. Which you can say what you want about it, but it's helping on the recruiting trail, and I'm sure fundraising and all of that stuff. And so I still think FBS independent is their route for football. I don't see the Pac-12 going to Sac State. I don't see the Mountain West going after Sac State. Conference USA maybe, but I don't think Conference USA wants to expand right now. And so I think FBS independent is their move, and they're just getting all the waivers and all that situated. And then for the rest of for the other conferences, or for the rest of the sports, like the Big West maybe, because I think they're losing some members, but I think they're trying to find a spot to park the rest of their sports while football goes the independent route.
Yeah, it's just how active this guy is on Twitter is it's unlike any other president. You just don't see that out of any college president to engage with as much as the fans as he's done.
Yeah, and you'll hear a lot that presidents aren't risk takers, especially when it comes to athletics and realignment and all of that. And so he's definitely active, whether it be with sports or with enrollment and how to grow the university overall. And it could land in a really, really good spot. It could also crash and burn. We don't know how it all plays out, but I think just the overall hype and energy around the university, the athletic departments, how they're engaging more with the community, I think is good, because I mean, when you're in California, like you don't, like, the Montana schools move the needle a little bit, but like Eastern Washington and Weber State, like that's might not move the needle a whole lot for that community. But if all of a sudden you start playing San Jose State and Fresno State and other FBS teams, you can draw even better crowds. Right. And even right now with playing FCS, I think Sac State's average attendance is like 15,000. So even right now they're drawing pretty good crowds, but I think their mindset is, if we get FBS opponents to come to our town, come to our stadium, then like our community engagement is going to go up even more.
So we're now at the start of spring football season for a variety of schools. UND's going, North Dakota State, South Dakota, I believe, is underway. Is there, for you, for following from afar here, are there storylines, a couple that you're keeping an eye on? Not just those schools, any that you're keeping an eye on for the start of spring football?
Yeah, I think it's the quarterback spot for just a lot of different schools. You look at the 8 quarterfinalists, and only 2 of them bring back their starting
Yeah.
quarterback. That's Mercer and South Dakota. Now, Idaho does have Jack Wagner coming back, who started multiple games, but he wasn't the starter in the playoffs. That was Jack Lane, who followed Kochak to New Mexico. And so 2.5, I guess you could say, as far as starting quarterbacks coming back. But you look at North Dakota State and you look at South Dakota State, Montana State, multi-year starters now gone. Cam Miller, Mark Gronowski, Tommy Mellott. I remember talking on 1660 about, the semifinal games, how it kind of felt like an end of an era with, all these quarterbacks we've watched for so long. This is kind of like the last stretch for them. And so how do those quarterback positions shake out, especially at those 3 schools? We might not know, I guess, during spring ball. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to name a starting quarterback in 3 weeks or anything like that. But, you can still get some reports, out of camp and all that, and kind of hear some buzz about who's looking good, who stepped up to kind of take the leadership role at the quarterback position at those key schools in the FCS.
I had Polisek here last Wednesday, and he made a great point to me in terms of, we still have the spring portal window to open. It's the basketball portal window opens today. Football opens again in 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
That the sense of naming a quarterback now is just stupid. Is because why would you do that knowing full well that the guy could go and leave if he's not named the starter?
Right. That's a good point. Even coming out with a depth chart at the end of
Right.
spring. I know some coaches will do that just to have end of spring meetings with players, and sometimes it is, hey, you're fourth string linebacker here. I mean, if you want to gun down on special teams, have at it. But if you want to go somewhere and play your senior year, like, we'll help you out. We'll get you a landing spot. Sometimes those conversations do happen, but it could also be, well, I'm second string linebacker. Like, no, I think I should start. Like, I'm
Right.
out of here. And that's a key depth piece. And so it can go both ways. Yeah, I think that spring portal, I think it's April 16th to the 25th. It's like a 9-10 day window. It's a bit shorter. So I think you're going to see a lot of players enter the portal, both FCS and FBS. And I think from a coaching standpoint, it's going to be interesting to see what FCS schools do, because there could be a lot of talent in that portal. It could also be a lot of guys who, maybe they are at a Big Ten school, but they're not an FCS level guy. But there are some examples where they are an FCS level guy and
Right.
they can make an impact. And so it's a lot of, you have to be a really good evaluator, because maybe they take one visit, you get an offer, then they accept the offer. But it's pretty quick. It's not like recruiting in high school where you get to know them their sophomore year or junior year. You have this relationship built up. So recruiting out of the portal, I think you have to really be able to analyze that talent and talk to the right
And
people.
just also be wary of too of it just because you made it through doesn't mean your roster is done. For Bison fans, I'd say that like there's still a volatility here that, well, you know what, I'm maybe not where I want to be, and I'm gonna go on the or there's and the flip side of that, the coach have conversations as well to say, hey, it may not work here. That's maybe it's time to look elsewhere. Those conversations, Sam, are ever present that are going to happen over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, and I think there's still some anxiety about holding on to your top players.
Absolutely.
It seems, for the most part, if a guy hasn't entered the portal now, I mean, we're talking like All-American, first team All-Conference level guys. If they didn't enter the portal in January, like, they're probably not going to in the spring, but that's not, 100%. They're
Correct.
totally locked in. You just never know. I remember, Terrell Allen, who won the Buck Buchanan 2 years ago. He made it through spring ball, I believe, at Tennessee State. And then, he decided to enter the transfer portal when, it seemed like Tennessee State was able to lock him up. And so I still think there's that anxiety there where you just never know if, a huge offer comes in for some of these top guys that they just can't turn down. And so I still think there is some angst there with the spring portal window.
It is also advantageous to add players. Montana State has done that. We mentioned it after your appearance last week. They added a quarterback, Justin Lampson, who spent a couple years at Syracuse, a couple years at Stanford. He actually had enrolled at Bowling Green, and then Bowling Green's coach left to take a job with the Philadelphia Eagles. Lampson said, Sam, that he was certainly attracted to Montana State because of Brent Vegan. So I guess the obvious question with Tommy Mellott gone is this QB1 for Montana State when they play Oregon in August.
Yeah, I think he might have the best chance right now to take that starting quarterback spot. I just don't know. From what I heard, the backups last year to Tommy Mellott just weren't quite up to speed. There was going to be a noticeable drop off if Tommy Mellott went down, and the backups just didn't seem ready to go. I think they were both like sophomores, and so maybe they take a huge step forward this year. But I do think bringing in an FBS transfer, a guy that has experience, that has started some games at Stanford, who was mostly used as a runner, but that's one thing he said, he wants to be developed as a quarterback because I think I saw a quote that said like being a running quarterback isn't necessarily like what he thinks his strength is. Like even going back to high school, he was more of a throwing quarterback, but he just kind of found his niche to get on the field at Stanford and was used as a running quarterback. And so his ability to develop under Coach Vigen, I think will be important. So he probably, it's hard to say for sure, but he's probably the front runner right now. Yeah. I know Montana State really likes the two freshmen they have coming in. One is Vigen's son. Yep. Then one is River Warren, I believe, who I think he's from Oklahoma, but he's a 3-star recruit. They really like him. But again, he's a true freshman. And so can he come in and take that starting job? I don't know, but I do think it is valuable to bring in an experienced guy. I think Lamson has 2 years of eligibility left. Yep. And so it's nice to have a guy with 2 years eligibility, but he has great experience. And so I think bringing him in was a good move for Montana State.
It's fascinating though. You mentioned the point of the 8 quarterfinalists, only 2 bring their starters back at quarterback, and that can't be ignored about when you look at continuity and having the built-in success. I mean, you can't ignore that. I looked at the Valley last year. Who were the top 3 teams? All of them had their starters back, with the Jacks, the Bison, and the Coyotes, and that it just is. There's a direct line to that. If you're going to be good, to have your signal caller who has experience back.
Yeah, I think that's one of many reasons why we point to South Dakota with Aiden Bauman coming back as, if there is a team that can knock off North Dakota State, like I think South Dakota is the first team that comes to everyone's mind because they do have a lot of good return experience coming back, but it all starts with the quarterback position with Bauman there. And so, it's incredibly important. And it's interesting too with North Dakota State and South Dakota State because people know who Chase Mason is. People know who Cole Payton is. We just haven't seen them, 3rd and 6 in the fourth quarter when it's a tie ball game and they have to throw the ball. Like we just don't know. We think North Dakota State is, by far the favorite to win the national title, but at the same time, like we just don't know how good their quarterback play is going to be. It could be great. It could be good. It could be, kind of 2021 Cam Miller level where it's fine, but it's not outstanding. Yeah. Same thing with South Dakota State. Like if Chase Mason is an All-American, that kind of really changes where South Dakota State is at. Or if Chase Mason is a guy who's a great runner, but he kind of struggles with, inconsistencies, then South Dakota State goes from a semifinalist to maybe they lose in the second round. So that's what makes this year so intriguing is the unknowns at the quarterback position for some of these top teams.
It's going to be fascinating to see it get going. We're just getting started with spring football, and Sam will have us covered all the big storylines going on around the country. Great to see you, bud. I love the backdrop. It looks fantastic, and we'll see you again next week, okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Sam Herder joins us each and every Monday, 9:35. Give us the lowdown on what's going on in FCS football. And, yes, the Bison did open spring practice today. Our first media availability will be on Friday out at NDSU. So we'll get you all caught up on that. We had Coach Polisic here on Wednesday, so if you missed that, you can go back and watch that. We had him here for an hour. It was fantastic and gave us all the major storylines we're keeping an eye on over the next month going on the north side of town. We'll break. We'll wrap up our first hour. As I mentioned, it's the first day of the basketball portal window, and there are plenty of names that are there. We'll chat about that. We roll on a busy Monday. We're back after this.